Okay, hello everyone. My name is Camille Oakes, and I am the CEO of Better Safety. Today, we're going to be talking about a superpower, and good news for you is that it is a superpower that we all have and that we can all get better at. That superpower is called emotional intelligence. So, today we're going to talk about EQ or emotional intelligence. What is it? Um, why do you need it? My job in life is to be a safety professional. So if you've encountered a safety manager, a site safety guy, an OSHA inspector, all of that is my realm. Emotional intelligence can help you improve on all performance that you experience in the workplace, but it certainly can help you improve on your safety performance. So, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the 5 components. What are the 5 pieces that make up EQ or emotional intelligence? And then we'll go through some tangible takeaways of what you can learn and what you can do to get better at this particular superpower. A little about me first. Again, I'm Camille Oakes. I am a safety professional by trade. I've been in safety for about 15 years, and in that time, I've found that I have had a significant more level of success when I operated as a business partner. So either you're a safety professional or you're working with safety leaders in your organization, and you've probably encountered a lot of issues with them. Maybe they're a safety cop, maybe they're a no because, you can't do that because, they're a shut it down kind of person. I have had way more success as a safety professional and in helping businesses get better at safety by coming at it from a partnership standpoint. So that's what my company, Better Safety, does. We focus on making anybody a safety leader. And part of being a safety leader, whether you're an operations person, you're a person doing the work, or you're a person tasked with safety as part of your job or all of your job, part of being that is being a good leader. And part of being a good leader is being an emotionally intelligent one. So, this idea kind of came to me when I was working in a distribution center and I was young. I was being a on-site safety lady for the first time in my career. So these were my problems to fix. We had a location, a 1 million square foot warehouse that had a ton of problems, every kind of problem you could imagine: morale, time and attendance, all kinds of issues with productivity, accuracy, and of course, safety. And I had a manager, our general manager, come to me and say that essentially I wasn't being hard enough. I needed to go up to a soup meeting and slam my hand on the table and tell people that they needed to get it together in much more colorful language. I needed to be tougher. I needed to drop some F-bombs. I needed to, tell people that they'd be out on the street if they didn't get it together. And so that's what I did. I went upstairs and I slammed my hand on the dresser and I saw the desk and I said, "You guys need to, get your curse word, expletives together. Safety, safety, safety. And if you don't, you're not going to work here anymore." And then I left the meeting and I went back to my office, and people came into my office throughout the day. And can you guess what they said? Did they say, "Wow, I feel motivated. Wow, I believe in safety now. Wow, I see the importance of safety"? Or what they said to me was, "Are you okay? Is something going on at home? Why are you all of a sudden a completely different person?" So what all of those people had, those soups and managers, revolving door to my office, concerned about my mental well-being, what they had was emotional intelligence, and what I didn't have was emotional intelligence. They understood self-awareness, they had empathy, they were good leaders. They could see through my lack of self-regulation. So we're going to talk about each of those today, but first we need to understand what is emotional intelligence. So it might be that you think that it's being like Stuart Smalley here and saying, "I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and gosh darn it, people like me." It's kumbaya, it's holding hands, it's never holding anybody accountable, it's hugs, it's, just being nice all around. And that's not what emotional intelligence is. Frequently people say to me, it can't just be all hugs and nice niceness. And that's not what I'm advocating. That's not what emotional intelligence is. Emotional intelligence is not being nice to each other all the time, and it is not ignoring, from a safety perspective, at-risk behavior, at-risk conditions. It's not ignoring things like that. What is emotional intelligence? There's a lot of different definitions of it, but I like this one the best. It comes from Dan Goleman, who became very, very popular in the early 90s. And Dan Goleman says that emotional intelligence is the ability to recognize, understand, and manage our own emotions. Okay, so understand ourselves and manage ourselves. That's a good first skill. Why does it matter at work? And it also is the ability to recognize, understand, and influence the emotions of others. So imagine you have the ability to influence someone's emotions. That person that's not wearing their fall protection, or that's wearing their fall protection but didn't tie it off to anything. A truck operator that's blasting through a pedestrian area, a subcontractor who ignores any of your requests. There will always be situations, command and control situations, where you can simply tell people what to do and they will listen because they have to. Those situations exist. Another situation that exists and exists pretty constantly for safety and health leaders is one in which you have to influence someone. So that person who's not wearing their fall protection, sure, you can write them up and fire them when you catch them, but our goal is, what are they doing when you're not watching? If I can influence their emotions and lead them to choose the safe choice when I'm not watching, when the safety guy isn't watching, when their soup isn't watching, and they're given the choice between at-risk behavior and safe behavior, when that sub is given the choice, when that foreman is given the choice, and they choose the safe one, what I can do to make that happen is exercise emotional intelligence. I can influence their emotions, which means I can influence their behavior. This is proven as a management theory, as a leadership theory. So Dan Goleman, again, one of the fathers of emotional intelligence, basically did a gigantic study and continues to study this. There's a lot of good information online about it, but continues to study this. He did a study of 186 different global organizations, and he found that emotional intelligence, when I'm comparing one organization to another, or even within an organization, I'm comparing one department to another, emotional intelligence was twice as important when compared to technical skills and IQ. So what does that mean? If I am a leader of a team, I absolutely have to have technical skills. Now, if I'm a safety leader, I need those technical safety skills. And I also need to be smart. I need a good IQ, a high level of IQ. But those are the bare minimum entries to being a leader, and certainly the bare minimum entries to being a safety leader. Emotional intelligence is what brings us to better performance. So the bare minimums are, you need to know how to do your job and you need to be smart. But then in order to be an effective leader, you need to have a high level of emotional intelligence. And Dan Goleman proved this across organizations globally and inside organizations, that even the higher up you go, if you have a leader with EQ, if you have a team with EQ, they perform better at everything. Not just at safety, not just at production, not just at every kind of metric, your team is performing better because you have this EQ. So maybe you hear this and you say, Camille, I'm not an emotional person. This is girly stuff. This is stuff for kids. I don't have emotions. I'm a pretty neutral kind of person. Well, unfortunately, that is not true. Sorry, Charlie. If you are a human being, you have emotions. Emotions are a class of feelings based on thoughts, what I think, and then what I've experienced, my previous experiences. And it can actually change what you are experiencing in your body. So even today, you have probably been maybe angry, maybe annoyed, maybe bored, maybe excited, maybe happy, maybe sad. All of those are emotions. Are they good? Are they bad? Well, frankly, they're neither. They just exist. And it's our actions that we take on those emotions that cause good things or bad things. But if you are a human being, you are experiencing emotions and you are experiencing them right now. And that happens at work too. So we understand emotions and we know that EQ is important and has benefits to being a leader. So how do we get better at being an emotionally intelligent leader? Well, we understand the 5 parts of emotional intelligence. We have self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, and social skills, which I like to call friendliness with a purpose. So we're going to go through each of these and we'll pull out some tangible takeaways about how you can get better at each of these. You're not going to get excellent at emotional intelligence in 30 minutes, in an hour, in a 2-day course. You're going to get a little bit better at it by learning about it. But what I would encourage you to do for each of these is think about this one of these 5 components that stands out to you as an opportunity, and then pursue getting better at that particular thing. So we'll start here with self-awareness, the first component of emotional intelligence. Now, how do you recognize if somebody is self-aware, and how do you recognize it in yourself? The easiest way to do this is think about, are you somebody who can make jokes at your own expense? A self-deprecating sense of humor. Can that person laugh at themselves? Can they take a joke at their own expense? And if that's true, they're probably somebody who knows what's funny about them. They know how they come off to other people, and they're not mad about it. They just laugh about it. You've probably met people who have a completely different opinion of themselves than everybody else does. They do not have a realistic self-assessment. Those are people with a low level of self-awareness. So why would you need self-awareness? Why would you need to know what people think of you? Why would you need to know who you are? Well, that first part of emotional intelligence is understand who you are and why you do the things that you do, so that you can then exercise the skill of understanding who other people are and why they do what they do. So really, it is just about knowing yourself. So I'm going to go through 2 ways that you can improve self-awareness in practice. And the first piece of advice I have here is to not be like our friend Kelly Kapoor. If anybody is an Office fan, you know that Kelly is a very good, Mindy Kaling plays Kelly Kapoor, and she is big time, very bad at self-awareness, very low level of self-awareness. And you can see Gabe asking her, what are your weaknesses? And she says, I don't have any, a-hole. Now, is that true? Does she have no weaknesses? No, she just has a low level of self-awareness, low self-confidence, and can't accept that she has weaknesses. Just like we all have emotions, we all have blind spots, we all have weaknesses. That doesn't mean that you have to get better at them. That just means that you have to know about them. If you are not good at public speaking and your job doesn't require it, and you don't want to get better at it, you don't have to. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying know that that's an opportunity, and then maybe work on getting better at things you're already good at. Now, if you are in this, if you have to lead, you're probably going to need to focus on getting better at that particular skill. But how do you know what you're good at and what you're bad at? First and foremost, you got to be honest. And you want to know how you are perceived. So you could do something like poll your coworkers, poll your friends and family, or if you want to be very risky about it, you can poll people who don't like you and ask them, what do you think I'm good at? And what do you think I need improvement at? You'll get some real answers from people who are not big fans of yours. And then another activity would be to list difficult situations at work. A few times in your life that like this particular task or job was really, really hard for me. And then think about what is consistent in those situations. Because if all of those involve, one-on-one confrontation, maybe that's what maybe that's a weakness of yours. Or all of those involve public speaking, or all of those involve, something in particular. You can learn from that. The next one here to improve your self-awareness is understand and acknowledge how you are perceived. So maybe you're listening to this and thinking, you look at this meme, I don't know how to do your job, but my book says you're doing it wrong. And you're chuckling to yourself and you're saying, that's every safety person I've ever met. Maybe you're a safety person and that's what you hear when you go onto a job site. Oh, what does your checklist tell you how to do this? Or for me, my experience has always been, you can't possibly be our safety person. You look like you're 15. Or I've been doing this job since before you were born. Safety professionals, the people in charge of safety, are not experts. We are facilitators. We might have the most technical knowledge on safety or the most technical knowledge on regulations, but that does not mean that we are the experts in a job. Being a business partner, acknowledging this, yes, you have probably been driving a Lyft longer than I have been born, but I am particularly good at safety. You are particularly good at your job. Let's work together to identify the risks and take action from there. I'm here to help you. So approaching it from that situation works way better to get a partnership kind of organization, but acknowledge that somebody's going to have a negative opinion of you and maybe get ahead of it and bring up that elephant in the room. Our second emotional intelligence component is self-regulation, or as Yoda says, check yourself you must before wreck yourself you do. This is basically, are you somebody who pops off at work? And how is that working out for you? Generally, it doesn't work really well. Maybe you've met some executives who make it all the way up the chain just by continuously popping off. But is it somebody you want to work with? Is it somebody you want to be? And if you are in the safety world, is it does it serve your purpose to get people on board with whatever the safety mission is? The simplest way that you can self-regulate is by using it to write better emails. I'm going to show you a little screenshot here. If you look at the phone on the slide, you can see, to my boss, reply line, who do you think you are? Let me tell you something. If you think I'm just going to so have you ever written an email like that? And you hear the whoosh and you go, oh God, what have I done? Recall. How does this recall button work? Oh no, I think they still can read it even if I recall it. It never works to send off an angry email. I won't say never. It probably works sometimes, but if you are working on trying to build a relationship and you are working on trying to influence people to take action, writing an angry email, cussing somebody out in an email, telling them off, typically makes a relationship worse. So my advice, never send while you're mad, leave it in draft, shut your phone off, close your computer. And then use the self-regulation, not just when you're angry, but write better emails. Think about what you want out of an email in general. I want to know what the point is. So if you're writing emails that include, 29 CFR 1904.22B47 states that all fall protection must blah, 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 blah. And ANSI also says that nobody's reading that. You as a safety leader should be a trusted advisor, and you build that by taking out those regulations and communicating in terms of risk. It is better for the company. We can accomplish this job if we need X, Y, and Z. If we do these are our minimum obligations, and I recommend we do this as well. If you've heard of TLDR, it stands for too long didn't read. So maybe you want to include all of that information, but at the top, just put a summary sentence that somebody who doesn't want to read all that you have to say, that they just want the point. This email is too long, I didn't read it. So what are you actually trying to say? Put that at the top. TLDR, all lockout tagout training is due by Friday. You can find it on the SharePoint, right? And then put everything else. Don't waste people's time. That regulate why you write an email like that. Our number 3 is component of emotional intelligence is motivation. You can tell if somebody is a motivated person, mostly because after they get knocked down, they get back up again. We're all struggling right now in 2020 to keep that motivation, but it's something that you want to check in with. Now, when it comes to being a safety professional, a person tasked with or in charge of safety, and the topic itself, it can be easy to say, well, I'm motivated by safety. I'm motivated because I believe everybody has the right to go home from work in the same condition that they came to work in. And that's very easy to do when you think about safety. I want all my guys to go home safe, the motivation for safety. But when you're presented with productivity is here, getting the job done is here, and safety is here, what is my motivation for picking one over the other? And the answer is you have to think about all of them together. And I'll show you in a second what I mean here. For me, you're looking at a picture of my brother on the screen and his family. So my brother is a plumber, and he was injured picking up a 200-pound pipe when I was in college, literally sitting in a safety class, in an OSHA 101 class in college. And he was severely injured and took years to recover from a upper back injury. I'm still in pain to this day, and this was 15 years ago, 17 years ago, really. And so I think about that when I think about why do I do this work, but not necessarily that he deserved to not get hurt. That's true. But I also think about what system existed that created the need for my brother to pick up a 200-pound pipe, and the response from his company being, well, if you weren't such an idiot, you wouldn't have picked up that pipe. Well, people make dumb decisions all the time. How many times had he made that decision and his supervisor had said, great job? How many times he was supposed to get help, but he worked on a job site alone? So who was this help supposed to come from? So for me, the motivation is figuring out these problems and helping people make better choices. If you look at the photo on this slide, you see on one side, you've got LeBron, safety versus operations, and safety is pulling on one side and ops is pulling the other way. And a lot of safety leaders will see this and say, oh, that's totally what it is. Safety pulls me. I'm trying to do this and operations is trying to go that way. And I'm a superhero here trying to protect everybody. And what I say is, and what EQ says, is if my customer, which is operations, I call it operations, whatever you call it, the people who do the work, if they're trying to go that way, shouldn't safety be understanding what they're trying to do and then telling them yes if instead of no because? So if you really want to know why operations is pulling that way and then make them go safe in that direction, what you do is understand operations motivation and help that build a better business case for safety. So I've got here a list of 7 questions that every safety leader should be able to answer about their operation itself. So do your safety professionals, and do you as a safety professional know this information? Do they know what metrics you're measuring? Do they know what the budget is? Do you know what your timeline is? Do you know what stresses out the operations team and how safety can benefit and make that easier? Our 4th EQ component is empathy. Empathy is different than sympathy. Empathy is, I really do feel for you. So this is maybe the, hug it out kind of thing. But empathy is really just recognizing where somebody is coming from and recognizing that all human beings are different. Empathy helps you build relationships. And if you've had any success in safety at all, you have probably seen that relationships help you build safety. If people are willing to talk to you, that's when you hear the real stuff. We've got our manual that says we must do it this way. And I do my walk arounds and they announce, hey, the safety lady's walking around, or they go on the radio, OSHA's here. But what is really happening? Well, you find that out if people are willing to talk to you. If people are willing to talk to you, you find out what risks are being taken, why they're being taken, and what can we do to fix that hole, to fix that gap? Now, if you want people to talk to you, you have to listen to them. So here's how to do it. Active listening. I'm going to pay attention. I'm going to withhold judgment. I'm going to reflect on what they said, clarify back to them, is this what you said? Summarize it, and then share that information. Do something with what they're telling you. It can't just be, I have a piece of paper, and if there's a safety hazard, somebody can write it down on a piece of paper and turn it into a box. That is not a safety program. That's part of it, but how do you know that people are being honest? How are you involving them? How are you listening? How are you taking action after it? The last component is social skills, which is friendliness with a purpose. And also think about it. Are you somebody anyone would go to lunch with? Are you persuasive? Can you build a team? Can you lead a team? So whether you are a leader of a team and you have to get them to do safety, or you yourself are in charge of safety, you have to be somebody with social skills if you want this to happen. So you can run better meetings. I know everything is different now in terms of how we run meetings, but you can use these social skills to run better meetings. And running a better meeting means that you get more things done. So 3 simple ways to do that. Build rapport. Talk to people about stuff that isn't just work, and talk to people that are not connected to your real job. If you have an admin and you have ever had a good relationship with an admin, you know how much you can get done by knowing the admin. You get the good rooms, you get the good food, you get everything you need because you are friendly with a purpose to that admin. Be genuine. The opposite of the story that I told in the beginning of me slamming my hand on the table. Tell people the truth, even if the truth is, I don't know the answer to that. Are we allowed to do this? Well, I don't know, but I will find out. And then close that feedback loop and go back to them. Think about, the golden rule, how I want to be treated. Treat people as you want to be treated. So I want to hear the truth, and I know when I am being played, right? Respect people's time and opinions. Find real ways to say thank you. Not everybody wants a gift card, and not everybody wants to be brought up on stage for, a congratulations for some sort of safety milestone. Some people would rather throw up in the bathroom before they have to go on stage in front of everybody else. So what works for your team? What is a good way to show your appreciation for choosing safety all the time? Maybe it's gift cards, maybe it's handshakes, maybe it's one-on-one time with you as their leader. And then, very importantly, use agendas and stick to them. Certainly this year, you should be considering how much safety stuff are we doing because it's a checkbox, and not because we're getting stuff out of it. And can you change that? And can you get feedback from your people on how to change that? So that was your short intro into emotional intelligence. There's 5 different components we talked about. Self-awareness, who are you and what do people think of you? Self-regulation, are you a person who pops off, and is that helpful to you? Do not send that email. Motivation, why do you do what you do? And then the people that you have to interact with, the people that there will be inevitable conflict with, why do they do what they do? Why are they making the choice that they're making? Understanding that helps you motivate them to do it your way, which is what your goal is, right? Empathy, run a better team, be a human at work by considering where people are coming from, and using active listening gets you to the truth. And then lastly, run better meetings using social skills or friendliness with a purpose. Remember, when you have EQ, you have twice as good of performance as a team that has technical skills or IQ. Those are the bare minimum of entry to be a leader and certainly to be a safety leader. Leaders with high emotional intelligence have stronger teams, they have better performance, and they certainly have better safety. So ask yourself, how are you doing with that? I want to thank everybody for your time today. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me. I'm on LinkedIn. You can find me at CamilleOaks.com, or you can shoot me an email anytime. I love to talk about this topic. So I really appreciate it. Thank you, and good luck with everything.